Welcome back, family, and thank you for joining us at From A to Z TV. Today we have a special guest to introduce. This is Mr. A, or Abraham, better known as Abraham, who is just so stuffy. You can hear him sniffling. He won't stay for the whole entire video because I just don't think he'll be quiet enough. But hey, I wanted to introduce him today as the video is going to be about him and his first 2 months. And I'll be giving you guys, we can just talk about the ups and the downs, the joys, the worries, of course, of having a little Hemo boy. But look at him. I think he's had enough of me. Okay, down he goes. And now on to our story. Just remember, of course, to like, subscribe, comment, start a conversation. If there's anything that you guys want to know more about after I'm done with this video, please leave a comment, send an email, ask a question. Let me know if you guys want to see more. And so let's just get into it. He was born on 9/11 at 3:56 a.m. and it was a quick thing. I got into the hospital at like 2 o'clock and he was born at 3:56, so it was like wham bam, thank you ma'am. No epidural. Won't be doing that again. No, friend. No. Thank you, Jesus, for all of the great medical things that have occurred, such as the epidural. To all the women who do it without epidural, bless your heart. I don't want to be one of them ever again. So yes, so he was 7 pounds and 4 ounces, 19 inches long. I feel like that's just the norm. He was a little bit bigger than my daughter, but I didn't feel it at all during the pregnancy. So after he was born, me and my husband wanted to do a circumcision, but we definitely wanted to make sure that we checked and see if he did in fact have hemophilia before committing to him getting circumcised. So we were in the hospital. They did the test while they were giving him some other vaccines, and they came back before we left and stated that yes, in fact, he does have hemophilia. Hemophilia A severe, 1%, less than 1%. And so at that time, we decided that it would be best to not have the circumcision and to definitely meet with the hematologist and the hematologist team and the HTC to figure out exactly what our prophylaxis treatment would be and where we'd go from there. He's making noises. He was crying, so here we are feeding and filming. Yes, to the multitaskers. I think as a mom you don't have a choice but to be a multitasker. So here we are. Yeah, so one of the, within 3 days, I actually think we met with the hematologist before we met with the primary care physician, because we were in, I was worried. I was worried, I don't think is the word. I just wanted to know exactly what we were gonna do to make sure that he didn't have bleeds and what were the medications gonna look like, what pharmacy we're gonna use. I just wanted the facts. I wanted to know. For my husband, I think he was more so worried, and he was like, what does this mean? Just beside himself. I did cry when I got the news. I cried throughout this whole process. I cried when I found out that I was having a boy at 12 weeks because we did the blood test, and I then cried, when they told us. Again, in my first video, like I said, my brother is a hemophiliac and I am a carrier as well. And so we knew that it was a 50-50 chance. So when they did the test for us in terms of the circumcision, we knew that that was a possibility, but I did cry. I cried, I sobbed, and I called my mom. So But, you know, after that, like, it was like, okay, we got this. Like, let me just find out what the information is and everything like that. So with the hematologist, what we did end up deciding was that we would have emergency factor on hand to take with us if we're going to long distance trips, or if anything were to happen while we're at home or wherever. And then he would, from there, we would wait until he's mobile, walking, crawling, and has his first bleed, for us to then start doing the 3 times a week prophylaxis or whatever it may be. The first bleed, of course, being that he gets bruised, or he falls, or what regular kids would happen, fall and scrape their knees or bite their lip, something like that. Something that, you know, happens to kids, especially when they're learning to walk, or they're crawling, or they're playing. So that would then bring us, of course, to the emergency room for him to get factor administered, but then also have a follow-up with the hematologist to make sure that at this point, like, we know the extent of his activity level, because all kids have different activity levels. All kids are different, have different recklessness behaviors than others. So for us to see where he stands, and we would then be prescribed the medication and so on. So the one thing that did take a while, of course, is for the pharmacy to get on board to send us the medication. I will say that the one thing that scared me, they didn't tell me this in the first visit, so this is like the second visit with the hematologist when he's a month old. The hematologist says to me, well, you know, he's going to be having his 2-month vaccinations, and you will have to make sure you keep pressure on it for 15 minutes on each vaccine so he doesn't get a hematoma. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what? He was like, oh, well, you know, if you don't put pressure on it, then it bubbles up. Like, I guess the hematoma is like a blood pouch, like it bubbles up. And that scared me. Because with my daughter, I mean, you know, they tell you the typical, like, hey, you know, give them Tylenol or whatever. I was like, I have to do what? So when I went to go see the primary care physician, and they all work in the same, like, you know, the same hospital company. So when I go to meet my his primary care physician, he then tells me that he has to do the vaccinations one at a time, like 1 day each. And I was like, so you need to give him 3 vaccines each time, so you need me to come back for 3 days in a row? So that was another thing that I was like, how are people supposed to do this, to have families and other children and full-time jobs? How is that gonna work? But that's another worry for this remainder of the video. We'll talk about that and about my concerns. I will vlog that doctor's visit, and we can see it together as to what exactly is supposed to occur there, because I am completely out of my element. So that's been his health in terms of doctor's appointments and everything like that. I'm having really crazy dilemmas. Should I work full-time? Should I work part-time? Should I not work at all? I don't think that's an option. Like, the not working at all thing is great if you can, like, if that's a possibility that you have, that's amazing. And I feel as though that it's necessary for me to at least have a part-time or a full-time job. I'm leaning more towards the full-time job. But with that comes different worries. Do I put him in daycare? Are there specialized daycare? Like, so much concern, so much questions. Like, do you trust the person that is going to watch him each and every day, that they are going to be as careful with him as you are? And by careful with him, I mean, I still make mistakes. So he's only 2 months, and he's gotten 2 very clear bruises that we've seen. Like, not just the scratches. You know, kids scratch their face and when their nails are too long, and as you can tell, like, he doesn't have the little mittens on right now because he wants to bite at his hands, so sometimes I take them off. But the little scratches on the face worries me. Like when I see them, I'm like, oh my gosh, my child. But that's typical, right? But he's gotten 2 bruises. One of them, I have no idea how he got, so I have a picture of that. I'll show that in here. He got on his elbow. I don't know how he got it. I don't know what we did. I don't know I have no idea. The other one, we know how he got. My husband wanted to take a really cute picture of him and his sister. And cute pic caused a bruise on the man's side, under his, where daddy's finger was holding him. And so little things like that, it's like as much as we're careful, as his parent who is worried, he still gets bruises, and he's already gotten them. And so, and this is just from holding him, he's not even walking. So my worry is when he goes someplace else, are they going to be really able to hold him and not have bruises caused or not have a major bleed? So that's a whole, I don't even know. And so for him to be in daycare or anything, one of the things that I've thought about is, should I put him on Hemophilia? I don't know how you pronounce it. Please, please, please do not rely on anything that I say in terms of medical things or whatever as fact. These are my opinions. This is what I've been told. This is my understanding. These are things that we definitely have to get figured out within the next few weeks, because as he's coming up on his 3 months, then it's time for me to go back to work. At least in the United States, you barely get like 8 weeks paid, and then like you may get 12, but the 12 is like, we're waiting for you to come back at the end of the 12 or else. So okay, Papa. But the one thing I will say is that with him being around other kids, I mean, with him being with his sister is difficult for me to manage. And I'm mom, and you know, she's turning 2 in a few days, and you know, she wants to kiss baby brother, and she wants to give him pound or whatever it may be, and she wants to, you know, hold him or caress his head, and I'm like, oh no. But it's just difficult for me to watch without thinking, oh my gosh, like if her head bumps, because what did happen is when she first came to see him when we were in the hospital, she went to go give him a kiss, or a ba as we say, and she like leaned into him, but her ba's like she knocked her head into his head right in the middle, and it was red, and he got a little bruise. So, and that was when we were in the hospital. So from there we were already like, oh man, no, like, you know, she's a 2-year-old. She doesn't know any better. She doesn't, you know, you can say nice hands as much as you want, or no, play nice with baby brother. But at the end of the day, anything can happen. So it's just about trying to make sure she doesn't throw like a truck at him, like anything. And my heart literally like jumps out of my mouth when those kind of things happen. But again, it goes back to like having somebody take care of your child. Like, you have to be ready and willing to make sure that to hope that these things don't happen, but to prepare in case these things do happen. So what I did find is that on Facebook there is something called Facebook Mom or Hemophilia Moms. I will give you guys the exact name. Hold on. So it's called Hemophilia Mother. Yeah, the Hemophilia Mother community has been very helpful. They definitely talk about their experiences, and they share their knowledge and sometimes their worries, like going back to work, finding a daycare that is suitable for your child, or the helmets for your son, or the knee pads for the knees when they start crawling, and links to Amazon or stuff like that. So I would say if you're definitely looking for like a Facebook community where you can just see what other people are dealing with, that is a great place to go. And I've also been able to find links to the New England Hemophilia Association, or where in the New England area these families are able to meet and go to camps and have events, and so I'm trying to get involved with that. One thing I will say is my mother is a worry wart, and I know that it comes from love. I would never say that it doesn't come from it comes from a loving place, but the fear that she is trying to strike in my heart is unreal. She's like, oh well, you better, you know, make sure that he knows how to sit down, and then what are you gonna do if he runs around like his sister? And I'm just trying to not raise this child in fear. I don't want for my every move for him to be one made out of fear, and then he'll be fearful of the world around him, and that's not what I want. My want for him is to definitely be like any other kid. Yes, you're gonna get hurt, and yes, there are different precautions that we have to take if you want to do this, and maybe that's not the best idea if you do that, but that's what everybody does that has any kind of medical issue. I feel as though she's trying to strike fear in my heart, and I'm not gonna let it work. So yes. I think that's it for our story. Stay with us, stay on this journey with us, subscribe, like, please comment, and follow us from A to Z. Bye. Say bye bye. Say bye bye. Bye. Bye.